Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates, coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for some time now, we're going to start off this broadcast with a salute to the United States of America. We're going to hear the Pledge of Allegiance and then the nation's national anthem. Would everybody please rise?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Oh yeah! Come on, folks, let them know it.
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us a Pledge of Allegiance. We appreciate this very much. We appreciate all of our armed forces around the world, wherever they might be. We appreciate our allied armed forces as well, who support the United States, and we support them. We're all trying to protect the world. Things are ongoing, we know that. But I want to pay tribute to these men and women who've done such a bang-up fine job. They risked their lives, they put everything on the line for all of us. Heaven forbid that they get paid more. Heaven forbid that their families are protected. It's unreal. We're thankful very much for our military all over the world. Thank you. Our military members over in the Mediterranean are being attacked by Iran. Our military members in the Middle East, in the Mediterranean, are being attacked by Iran through Houthi rebels. Iran backs the Houthi rebels over in Yemen. And Yemen has been attacking. Syria has been attacking us. Lebanon has been attacking us. We have the HMS Elizabeth over there helping us back up what we're doing. We appreciate all of our armed forces, ladies and gentlemen, wherever they might be. May God protect them all and return them home to their homes in safety by the time their tours of duty end. God bless you all and thank you for your service. I have a hard time with that. Some of you know what I'm talking about. It's incredible. Thank you for all of your services. We appreciate it. I'm first going to talk about earthquakes around the world. Then I'm going to take you on an earthquake tour in the Pacific Northwest. I'm going to talk about New Madrid again. I'm also going to talk about Iceland tonight. I'm going to talk about our border, the United States southern border. Folks, we have been babysitting the border area for a very long time. The problem is now we're not being able to babysit. We're being told to do things, and our country is being attacked. We'll get more into that in a few minutes. I want to show you what's going on around the world. I'm going to start off tonight showing you a large earthquake over here in the Kuril Islands just north of Hokkaido, Japan. USGS is not really reporting much of anything. Yes, there are a bunch of earthquakes, aftershocks, that have happened since this earthquake hit. They're not even showing all the aftershocks. There's more like 35 or 40 aftershocks, and they're only showing a handful, as you can see. This was a 6.5 magnitude earthquake. This lit off just after 4 a.m. this morning, 4:15 a.m. this morning. A 6.5 very strong earthquake. 6.0, 6.9 are considered to be very strong earthquakes. That's what this was. This is also 24 miles, or 20, why can't I not talk? It's 24 kilometers deep. Okay? It's a big deal. The Kuril Islands has not had an earthquake like this in a very long time. The Kuril Islands has seen 5s all over here, but never a 6.8 or 6.5 as this was. Okay? I think this was a 6.8. That's my own opinion. Okay? It's not the only earthquake that's hit here. Okay? Down here on the northeast side of Honshu, Japan, we've had a 4.8 here, a moderate earthquake. In this case, 47 kilometers deep. Okay? They're not showing everything here either. South of mainland Japan, we had a 4.5 earthquake. This is in the Ryukyu Islands of Japan. A 4.5, 55 miles deep. Fairly shallow earthquake. Next, over here, the Philippines. The Philippines, off the northeast side of the Philippines. This is a 5.0. This is not the only aftershock that's hit here. This is just one of many aftershocks that have hit here. Almost 4 weeks ago, we had a what USGS determined as a 7.7 earthquake. They downgraded it to a 7.5. I told you about this yesterday. They downgraded it to a 7.5. I said at the time it was at least an 8.0. We later found out the next day that this was not just a 9.0, but possibly even a 10.0 earthquake. We showed you all the data at the time. A major megathrust earthquake down here in the subduction zone over here in the Philippines. A lot of earthquakes still happening. They're all aftershocks of that big quake. Further south in the southern region of Mindanao, Philippines, they've had another 5.2 large earthquake here. I don't have any information about injuries or any fatalities or much damage here. A 5.3 earthquake can cause fatalities, can cause damage. As soon as we get more information, I will pass that on to you. Okay? Rob52 says, Heather, what's up with the date? USBS changed it. I'm sorry, not USBS. YouTube changed it. I put it out as December 28th. They changed it to 278. Go figure. As soon as this program is over, I will change it back to what it was, December 28th. I'm sorry to confuse anybody, but folks, guess what? They do it to me again. They've done it many times. Down here in Indonesia, south of the Philippines, they're showing 2 earthquakes here. This is a 4.3 near Ternate, Indonesia. South down here is another story. This is a 4.8. 514 kilometers deep. A deep earthquake. A 4.4 deep earthquake. This is going to result in another 5.4 earthquake. Another large 5.4 earthquake. It could go north, it could go south, it could go west or east. But we're going to have another 5.4 more shallow earthquake. Okay? Guaranteed. It's a matter of time. Within the next 3 to 10 days, we're going to have another 5.4, 5.5 earthquake right here. Okay? These deep earthquakes propagate stronger, more shallow earthquakes. That's what's going to happen. Over here in Papua New Guinea, this is a new earthquake within the last, I want to say 45 minutes. This is another 4.8 moderate quake. This is 73 kilometers deep. Papua New Guinea. I can't pronounce the name. Finschhaven, Papua New Guinea. A 4.8. This is 73 kilometers deep. We go over here to Vanuatu. This earthquake just happened within the last hour. Excuse me. Sorry about that. This is a 5.6, or excuse me, 5.6. This is a 5.0 magnitude earthquake near Sola, Vanuatu. This is 206 kilometers deep. This is halfway to the deep point of earthquakes in this area. 206 kilometers deep. That means this earthquake here is going to propagate a 5.4. From 5.0 to 5.4, maybe a 5.5 earthquake as a result of this earthquake here. Again, stronger or more shallow. Moving eastbound. Okay? This one is a 4.5 moderate earthquake near Levuka, Fiji. This is another deep earthquake, 553 kilometers deep. This being a 4.5, this is going to perpetrate. That's because I've been a cop for so long that word is on the tip of my tongue. This earthquake is going to propagate a stronger, more shallow earthquake. This could propagate a 5.6 large earthquake. A 5.6 earthquake. Where can it be? It could be here in Fiji. It could end up being in Tonga. It could be over in Vanuatu. It could be in the Solomon Islands. It could end up being in Papua New Guinea. It also could end up being over in Chile and Argentina area. That remains to be seen. But this is a very deep earthquake. Okay? A 4.5 over in near Lubuka, Fiji today. Okay? But that's not all. Let's look down here on the South Sandwich, or not South Sandwich. This is the Antarctic Fault Zone. Southern Antarctic Fault Zone. Folks, this is another 5.8 earthquake. A very large 5.8 earthquake. 10 kilometers deep. Very shallow earthquake. But it's not the only one here. Southeast of South America. Southeast of Chile and Argentina down here. This is in the South Shetland Island Fault Zone. South Shetland Island Fault Zone. This is another 5.1 earthquake, 10 kilometers deep. Moving east over into the South Sandwich Island region. This is another 5.0 earthquake, 88 kilometers deep. Not a bad deal at all, actually. This seismic energy will climb into the mid-Atlantic probably starting tomorrow or at least by Saturday. This is a large earthquake. It will propagate over here into the South Atlantic first, then into the mid-Atlantic and over into the North Atlantic Fault Zone. This needs to be watched. It needs to be watched. Over here, South America. There are more earthquakes here than they're showing again. Folks, this one is over on the eastern side of the Andes Mountains, near the border region of Chile and Argentina. This is a 4.5 moderate earthquake, 215 kilometers deep. Somewhat shallow earthquake, 215 kilometers deep. It's on land. It's on land, guys. San Antonio de los Cobres, Argentina. They've had 18 earthquakes today here in South America. Heaven forbid they show it to us. Going north, Olague, Chile. Ollague, Chile. Antofagasta Province, Chile. This is another 4.4, 114 kilometers deep. This one here. This is over in southern Ecuador. This is another 4.3 earthquake, moderate earthquake. 165 kilometers deep. We go over here. Okay? This is Valenzuela. Or I'm sorry, not Valenzuela. I keep thinking of the ball player, Fernando Valenzuela, who is part of the Los Angeles ball team. I watched him a lot. Anyway, this is Venezuela. This is a 4.4 earthquake here. A 4.4 moderate earthquake here. Like I said, there's about 15 earthquakes here in South America. they're not telling us anything new here at all. There's about 6 earthquakes here in Central America. They're telling us about 1. This one is just off the coast of El Salvador, Central America. It's a 4.8 earthquake, 68 kilometers deep. There are earthquakes south of here in Costa Rica. There are earthquakes north of here over in southern Mexico. About 28 earthquakes from southern Mexico all the way up here to Puerto Vallarta. Earthquakes along the coastal region, the Riviera of Mexico, Manzanillo, Zihuatanejo, Acapulco, and Puerto Vallarta. Earthquakes here. They're not going to show us. A lot of these earthquakes are 4.2, 4.3. Moderate earthquakes. I expect to see a large 5.0 hit down here in southern Mexico probably by this weekend. I fully expect it. Considering all the 4s and the 3s that are here, I think we're going to have another large earthquake here in southern Mexico. And after that, it'll be in Southern California. Okay? Just so you know. Again, they're not showing anything down here in Southern California. There are plenty of earthquakes here. Plenty. They're just not willing to show them to us. USPS is being stupid. Sorry, those of you that don't want me calling the agency what they should be called. Until they start doing their job, that's what they're called. Nothing but a bunch of BS. Over here in the southern Cascadia subduction region, this is off the coast of Petrolia, California. This is west of the Cascadia subduction zone. Folks, right here, this is a 3.5 small earthquake. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep. This is a 3.8, also 10 kilometers deep. 3.8 and a 3.5 here. Sister earthquakes over here in the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment is a earthquake fault that runs east and west off the coast of California. When it goes on land here in Northern California, it becomes the Mendocino Ridge. The Mendocino Ridge. We've had many earthquakes here on the Mendocino Ridge as well. Okay? They're not showing us much of anything up here in the Pacific Northwest. They're not showing us nothing. Not a darn thing. I can guarantee you that there are earthquakes and tremors all over this area, north to south. Again, until they start telling us the truth, they get no respect from me. Sorry, no respect. Anyway, guys, I love to see you here. I love all of our mods that are here as well, supporting this program. Right before I came on the air, I was on a different program. I have my own radio show on People for People Radio Network. In the coming days, I'll leave you with a link to that show. Yes, I talked about Cascadia. I also talked about earthquakes around the world. I talked politics today. I talked about Iceland. A lot is going on. Don Patoga is here in the chat, a dear friend of mine. Says facts can be subject to the definition of what is. Psyops is the art of lying while telling truth, convincing or distracting folk for political purposes or gain. That's exactly what this is. As we have talked about this before, the politicians are telling the managers of USBS what to do. They're telling the managers of the USGS not to be truthful with any of the earthquakes, especially the volcanoes. They don't want anybody to know the truth because people could get hurt. People that don't want to get hurt or injured will be leaving the area if they knew the truth. There is a shoreline community in the Cascadia subduction zone region south of Seattle. None of the police or the fire department know anything about Cascadia. Imagine what happens when a 10+ magnitude earthquake hits off the coast of Seattle and the seismic energy carries southbound. The shoreline will be torn apart. Anywhere up to like 15 or 20 miles east of Seattle and the shoreline will see terrible damage. Shortly after the earthquake hits, within 15 to 20 minutes after the earthquake hits, a tsunami will happen. As soon as the earthquake hits, anybody near the shoreline are going to see water rushing from the shoreline out to sea. 15 or 20 minutes after that point, major seismic waves have caused a tsunami to happen. A major earthquake in the Juan de Fuca Fault area, the Cascadia subduction zone, are going to cause a part of the ocean to drop deep into the earth. Water from the shoreline will rush out to sea to fill the void. Just as soon as the water attempts to get to that point out in the ocean, it's going to come back towards the shoreline in a major fashion. Not just one wave, but multiple tsunami waves. We don't know how many, 30, 40, whatever it is. Major tsunami waves will inundate the coastline. Not just over in Washington or Oregon either. These tsunami waves will reach down to northern Mexico. These tsunami waves and the earthquake seismic waves will reach up into Alaska. The tsunami waves that hit in Washington and Oregon and all up and down the entire coast of North America will reach over into the Kamchatka Peninsula, reach over into the Kuril Islands. They'll reach over into Japan. The last time the Cascadia earthquake happened, Japan got hit as well. The seismic waves went all the way across the Pacific to the Western Pacific in Japan. The people in Japan kept ominous records, telling of the time that the tsunami hit Japan. They knew what the tsunami wave was. They saw it coming. They dealt with it. The American Indians also kept a little bit of record, but not as much as the Japanese people did. We know the date and time of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake that happened 234 years ago. We know the date, we know the time. There's all kinds of scientific evidence to prove that it happened and what's going to happen when it next happens. It's likely to happen at any day, any time literally. We used to tell people it might not happen for 5 years. Some scientists are saying 50 years. I highly doubt it will be 50 years from now. We're already overdue for a Cascadia megathrust earthquake, a 9.0, 10.0 huge earthquake. Like I said, the seismic waves will be felt all the way down to northern Mexico. How is that possible? Here in the southern Cascadia subduction zone, these two earthquakes are on the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment connects with the Cascadia subduction zone. There's also another earthquake fault that also connects, called the San Andreas Fault. Chris Goldfinger, who is a professor of geology and seismology at Oregon State University, he went down to San Francisco December 23rd, 2019. He spoke to a gathering of seismologists, and he said at that gathering that the Cascadia subduction zone earthquake could trigger the San Andreas Fault. It's connected to the San Andreas Fault. The odds are that it will connect and traffic that seismic energy all the way down through California. Down through California, wherever the San Andreas Fault is. Okay? And yes, you see it here. You see it here as it runs just on the outside of San Francisco Bay. It continues down here, just east of Monterey Bay here. On the other side of San Francisco Bay, we have two other earthquake faults. The first one closest to San Francisco Bay, it's called the Hayward Fault. On the other side of the hills from the Hayward Fault, we have the Calaveras Fault. Both of these, all three of these fault zones are the most dangerous fault zones in most of California. The most dangerous. The San Andreas could trigger the other two fault zones, with seismic energy reaching far out to the east and all up and down the coast here. A lot of damage. A lot of damage. The San Andreas Fault runs all the way down from San Francisco, all the way down the coastline here. It starts to go deep inland on the eastern side of Los Angeles. It continues past San Diego County, out into the Imperial County area. We've talked about the earthquakes as a result of the San Andreas Fault down here in the Imperial County, all alongside the Salton Sea here. It could still cause havoc in San Diego County. The San Andreas Fault passes through the northeast side of San Diego County over in the Anza Gap area, the Anza Borrego Desert State Park. Then it leaves San Diego and goes into Imperial Valley and continues all the way down into northern Mexico. Let me show you that. Okay? Look at this. It connects all the way down here into northern Mexico. Then it passes through the Gulf of California and continues south. Isn't that interesting? How the San Andreas Fault goes all the way down here. It follows the Mexican coastline. It follows the Mexico coastline all the way down until it gets down to the Cocos Plate in Central America. This is how come people into northern Mexico may feel 8, 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. They will. And not only will Mexico feel it, the entire coastline, coast to coast. The seismic energy will run through the gamut of Canada to the east coast. It'll run through North America in the United States to the east coast. I'm not saying we're going to have a 9.0 in New York or Massachusetts, but I am saying there will probably be 5.0, 4.5 or greater earthquakes on the east coast as a result of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. It's going to happen. It's absolutely going to happen. Before I get into our main topic of the Cascadia earthquake area, earlier today, and USGS took it down, there was a 5.0 earthquake that hit here this morning, south of Iceland, in what they want to call the Reykjanes zone, the Reykjanes ridge here. This ridge of seismic area, the northern Atlantic fault, reaches up here to Iceland. It enters Iceland here on the Reykjanes Peninsula. It runs all the way through the Reykjanes Peninsula into the rest of Iceland. Then it proceeds to cut through Iceland, and it someday will divide Iceland. It already is. The fissures that have opened up, show a great tendency to start spreading Iceland apart. We know darn well what is going on here. The scientists have a good idea of what's happening. The mid-Atlantic fault is expanding from the center. It's pushing Africa and Europe in an easterly direction. It's pushing the North American continent, Canada, the United States, and even Puerto Rico and that area. That's still part of the North American continent. It's pushing North America into a south-southwesterly direction. Here in Iceland, it's opening faults here in Iceland. Huge fissures have opened up. Part of those fissures have steamed in the past because some of those fissures were related to volcanism in Iceland. A week ago, Christmas Day, Iceland had another volcanic eruption just east of Grindavik. I'm taking you to Grindavik right now. This is Grindavik, Iceland. East of there, we have the Blue Lagoon, and we also have the huge power plant. Men have drilled into the upper magma chambers of this volcano to harvest steam, to provide Iceland with all the power that they need as a result of this volcano powering the turbines here in Iceland. There's 34 turbines over here. 34 turbines, guys, all throughout this area. And we cannot forget that the Blue Lagoon Spa is out here as well. Workmen have labored diligently since before Christmas to put up an earthen wall and a concrete wall around the power plant and also the Blue Lagoon Spa. So any lava that goes out may not hurt either the power plant or the spa. What you need to know about the power plant. The land under the power plant is rising. There is a magma chamber, a magma reservoir underneath the power plant. The ground is rising underneath the power plant. That's not a good token at all. The ground underneath the power plant and the Blue Lagoon is rising. It's increasing at the tune of 3 to 4 centimeters a day. 3 centimeters is likened to an inch. So 3 to 4 inches per day. That's a lot of spread. Now, yesterday, just west of the power plant and east of Grindavik, along the fissure zone that erupted over a week earlier. 3 days after it erupted, it stopped. But yesterday, there was a great cloud, a plume cloud of smoke and ash coming from that area. I showed you that plume cloud. Scientists are now fearing that there will be an eruption in Grindavik imminently. This past Saturday, the authorities let the citizens that wanted to return to Grindavik. Quite a few of them did. The search and rescuers and those authorities that made assessments of Grindavik are with the homes of the parents. They went home to wherever their homes was, all over Iceland. Nobody's over there. Very few people are over there except police. Before, it was easy to keep people away. They just parked police vehicles out on the roadway to keep people away. Now some people move back. They don't want to leave. What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with that picture? I don't think you'd want to leave your home either. But at least here in Iceland, the citizens of Iceland, the authorities in Iceland are allowing the people to make their own decisions here. There's hardly anybody to tell them to leave. I'm sure if something happens in the coming days over in Grindavik, that they will leave on their own. But remember, the volcano could erupt in Grindavik within 2 hours after the earthquake started. What do you need to know about this? What do you need to know about what's going on here? Let me move this over here so you can see it. You're seeing these earthquakes on the slide. What's the problem here? Over 730 earthquakes in the last 24 or 28 hours. 730 earthquakes along this fissure zone in the last 24 to 28 hours. Scientists are saying that this area could really erupt again. The area is recharging. Like I said, there is a magma reservoir underneath the Blue Lagoon and the power plant. Does that mean a volcano could erupt in that area? Yes. If it does, it would destroy the power plant. If it erupts outside the power plant, the earthen walls and the concrete walls that they have put up would possibly save the power plant. So they would not have to drill any more holes in the ground to obtain steam from the volcano and build a new power plant. Let's hope that that happens and nothing else does. That the city of Grindavik and the power plant and the Blue Lagoon will be saved. They're worried. They're deathly worried that something could happen. And I'm worried with them. Knowing what I know, knowing how I'm keeping up with what's happening, this volcanic event is imminent. Maybe within the next few days, we'll see. Unless the seismic waves from the volcanic molten magma beneath the surface, if they dissipate, these people may have dodged a bomb. Literally. I'm just telling you like it is. Things don't look good in Iceland at all. Okay? Things can still happen. And they probably will. Be prepared, Iceland. If you're watching this program, be prepared. Make sure you get a right emergency preparedness plan for your businesses and your homes so you protect your loved ones. Make sure you do whatever is necessary to protect them. For those of you that know me, have watched this program for a while, we've talked about emergency preparedness kits before. We talked about emergency preparedness planning. On my radio program tonight, I talked about emergency preparedness planning a lot. Everybody needs to know what's going on. That's why we do our shows like we do. We want to make sure that everyone is prepared. Everyone. Not just one or two people. Everyone prepared. It doesn't matter whether a major earthquake's going to hit. It does matter that we prepare people for what's going to happen. Guaranteed it will happen. Let's go up into the Pacific Northwest. Let's look at Mount Rainier. Let's please look at Mount Rainier tonight. Okay? This is one of many seismograms here at Mount Rainier. This is Camp Sherman on Mount Rainier. This is just over on the north slope, the top of the north slope of Mount Rainier. Camp Sherman. What are we seeing? Massive amounts of magma is what we're seeing here. Massive amounts of magma beneath the surface is moving into the magma chamber of Mount Rainier. You can see it here. These lines here are called magma infill signals. Magma infill signals. They're sometimes thin and turn thicker. Other times they're thicker and turn thinner. The thicker lines represent a lot of magma coming into Mount Rainier last night. The top of this seismogram starts off here at 11 p.m. last night. Then after midnight, it starts really kicking into gear. You can see the increase in magma coming into the magma chamber here. When you have an increase in magma, it's going to cause the magma to fracture the rock inside the volcanic chamber. That's what you see here as well. These dark and light blue lines, horizontal lines, you see vertical lines going through them. Vertical lines represent rock fracturing, tremors and earthquakes, rock fracturing. That's what's going on down here in the magma chamber of Mount Rainier. You can see it happening. You can see it happening literally all day long. Down here, this is just late morning after 10 a.m. You see 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes, minor earthquakes. You also see something that could be construed to be a 3.0 earthquake here. Yes, folks, larger earthquakes have hit here and continue to hit all over this mountain. If you see a vertical line with a curlicue on it, you can be assured that it is a steam signal. If you see a vertical line with no dot on it, that means it's not an earthquake, but a steam signal. A steam signal. We have many steam signals throughout this seismogram. Mount Rainier, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you a couple more slides here in just a second. It's true that Mount Rainier is getting ready to blow. At some point in time, Mount Rainier will rumble. It will explode, and there will be a magma surge out of the volcano, and you all will see lava going down the sides of the volcano. You're likely to see that very soon. I'm just telling you. You're likely to see more sooner than later. That was Camp Sherman. Let me show you Rainier, the Panhandle. This is out to the east flank of Mount Rainier. This would be where a lot of people live. Mount Rainier is moving. You can see the magma coming into the volcano here. You can most definitely see that. Look at that. It's incredible. All that lava, or it's not even lava, it's still in the volcano, it's magma. All that magma is moving. If some of you live here, you're going to feel the ground moving as the magma makes its way through the magma chamber and heads to the volcanoes. You're going to feel that magma thrusting you around. That's pretty typical. I've seen it happen long time ago. It's happening now. You're seeing it here. Look at this time period. This time period stretches down here from just after midnight, say 2 o'clock in the morning, to 7 o'clock in the morning. Here it gets less. Then it starts up again. And you can see the magma wave here. You can see the magma wave as it surges through the magma chamber of Mount Rainier. This is on the east side of Mount Rainier, the Panhandle. Okay? This is a USGS seismogram. Let me show you Camp Muir. This is the Pacific Northwest Network seismogram. PNSN, Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. Okay? anytime you see a red seismogram, it's a Pacific Northwest Seismic Network seismogram. Now, you can see a bunch of abstract, what they call abstract. The zigzag pattern. Try to ignore the zigzag pattern and come out with earthquakes. You can see tremors off to the left. You can see a full-blown earthquake off here to the right. Center right. This, folks, is a 3.0 at Mount Rainier. They're not showing this on the seismic or on the USGS map, but you see it on the seismogram. You definitely can make it known what's going on once you see it. But if you don't see it on the seismogram, it didn't happen, because USGS will never tell you that, ever. That was Camp Muir. I showed you Camp Sherman with the USGS seismogram. Let me show you Emerald Ridge. Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. This is the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network here. I pulled this seismic signal here, this specific seismogram, because this shows the magma coming into Mount Rainier. This is the HHN channel of Emerald Ridge, which is on the south side or southern flank of Mount Rainier. Here you can see very active magma. Where you see very active magma here, you see these curlicue waves. Okay, that's heavy duty magma coming into Mount Rainier at Camp Sherman. Heavy duty last night into this morning. Then it cut back some. At times even later today, this afternoon, it kicked up again, but then backed off. That is indeed a lot of magma coming into Mount Rainier. Okay? Let's drop south to Mount St. Helens. Let's take a look at what's going on at Helens. Mount St. Helens last erupted about 2003. Before that, it was 1980. I'm going to show you seismograms now showing you the activity at Mount St. Helens. Folks, this is East Dome, Mount St. Helens. The Dome of the Rock at Mount St. Helens. This East Dome is where the lava finally cooled to where it was forming a magma plug inside the volcano. Then it cooled off sufficient enough where even touching it wouldn't burn you. That's where we're at today. The magma plug hardened here into lava. We have a seismograph sitting on top of the East Dome, giving us this information. Look at this information closely. The horizontal lines here tell the story. The horizontal lines, each and every one of them, are worth 15 minutes of time. 15 minutes of time where magma came into the magma chamber. That's what we're seeing here. The lines get thicker and get thinner. That's what happens as magma comes into the magma chamber. And the vertical lines through these horizontal lines tell the story of earthquakes and tremors that have hit here. When seismic energy hits here, it propels rock and fractures the rock inside the volcano. That's what's causing all of this movement. Earthquake movement inside of Mount St. Helens because of magma expansion into the volcanic tremor, or volcanic chamber, I should say. Okay? Mount St. Helens is very active, just like Mount Rainier was. Look at this. I want to show you this specifically because this is a magma churn signal over here on the right center here. A magma churn signal. Magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. This magma churn signal is not. Okay, let's count the lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines high. This seismogram, guys, is about 23, maybe 22% of real world. Okay, but we're still seeing fairly accurate seismograms showing the magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount St. Helens. It would be more definitive if this magma churn signal was such that it would provide more lines here, like a 9 or 10 line magma churn signal. The vertical lines out to the right side of the magma churn signal are steam lines. Steam exiting the volcano. Steam exiting the volcano. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. So when you see steam rising from the volcano or from the fissures caused by an eruption, you can see steam and smoke rising out of the fissure or the volcanic cone of the volcano. You can see that here. Also down here, you see vertical lines with no dot in the middle of them. Those vertical lines with no dots are steam signals. Steam signals. Steam is pouring out of Mount St. Helens. It's been pouring out of Mount St. Helens for many a day, for years. Mount St. Helens is very active. Let there be no doubt about it. Mount St. Helens is one of the most active volcanoes here. You can guarantee it. Guarantee it. Okay, let me pull this back down here. Okay, let's move on. Let me get a drink of water here. Folks, while we're here at Mount St. Helens, I want to show you something else here. This is Helens Vault. This is on the south side of the volcano, Helens Vault. I want to show you the activity here because the activity shows magma coming into the volcanic chamber here. These thicker lines show magma coming into the volcano. Magma infill signals. They're called pulsed magma signals. Pulsed magma signals. The lines get thicker and the lines get thicker and thinner again. That's what happens here as the magma continues to roll into Mount St. Helens. Look at this. We're also seeing some good-sized earthquakes here. It's just not rock fracturing, it's also earthquakes as well. Okay? For example, this earthquake here in the light blue here. Let me blow this up a little bit more. I'm going to enlarge it so you can see it here. Okay? This event here, it is an earthquake. This earthquake is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lines high. Definitely an earthquake. We're seeing this earthquake. It's a thicker earthquake as well. This earthquake lasted maybe 10 seconds, maybe a little bit more. Off to the right side of this earthquake, this is a secondary wave. We talked about secondary waves before. The secondary wave will pretty much tell us how strong this earthquake is. Coupled with the body wave, we can be certain pretty much of how strong this earthquake was. In most cases, the secondary wave will be telling you how strong the earthquake was. This was at least, I'm going to say at least, this was a 3.0 earthquake. The top and the bottom have been cut off here. The top and the bottom have been cut off. We don't know how strong it was just judging by the primary wave. The secondary wave gives us more of an idea. The secondary wave actually lasts another minute after the primary wave. This tells us that this is a 3.0 earthquake. Okay? Look at the other earthquakes here as well. Look at that. This one off to the right of center here. Folks, that's another 3.0 earthquake. It didn't last very long, did it? Just a second or two, that's all. 3.0 earthquake. We see some tremors here, don't we? A lot of tremors. You can also see some 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here as well at Mount St. Helens. Could it erupt? Yes. It could very well erupt. It's not showing as much magma as it had last week or the week before. But it is showing magma activity. It is showing earthquakes hitting here. That tells us a story. Like I said, it also shows a secondary wave and a body wave. That tells a story as well. Let's continue here. I want to show you Mount Hood. These blue seismograms are nothing more than USGS seismograms. The red belong to the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. That's what you're seeing here. Let's go south to Mount Hood. Okay? Mount Hood is moving as well. Palmer Lift. This is a seismogram from Palmer Lift. A blue USGS seismogram. This starts off at 11 p.m. last night. Early this morning, all of a sudden the volcano started moving. Magma came into the magma chamber. You can see it here. The lines get thicker and get thinner and get thicker again. Magma came into the magma chamber here of the volcano. Folks, it doesn't stop. Look at this rat-a-tat-tat signal. This rat-a-tat-tat signal at the bottom of this is a rat-a-tat-tat signal belonging to what? They are mining from this volcano. They are mining from this volcano. That is a sound that drills make. What you're seeing here on the seismogram is a sound that drills are making here at Mount Hood. This is halfway up the mountain from it's called Government Camp. Government Camp is Timberline. But I wanted to show you this because we don't often see the rat-a-tat-tat signals. Okay? Drilling into the volcano. Let's turn our eyes to another seismogram. Let's take a look at Shell Rock. Look at this. Again, this is a USGS seismogram. Look at this. Mount Hood is having another earthquake. Well, glory be. Mount Hood is having an earthquake here. This earthquake hit after 8:30. Yeah, it hit just about 8:30. Look how wide it is. The earthquake lasted over a minute. The width has everything to do with how big this earthquake was. Okay? It lasted over a minute. The top and the bottom have been cut off by the agency. What does this tell you? It was larger than they're saying. Okay? Every time we've seen the bottom and the top cut off, they're trying to protect us. Trying not to let us know how strong this is. This is a very large earthquake. Okay? The secondary wave here, the primary wave you can see in the box here on the left-hand side. That's a primary wave. The secondary wave reaches out here nearly 3 minutes. That tells me this earthquake is closer to at least a 4.5, 5.0 earthquake. Okay? That's how strong it was. They will never be honest with us ever. They haven't been honest with any of us since the date that I started reporting these earthquakes. I've been studying this for years before that. But again, they don't want to tell us the truth. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth about anything. Mount Hood is moving. It's having good-sized earthquakes here. There's another place here that I want to take it to. Okay? Okay, that was Shell Rock on Mount Hood. Shell Rock is on the east side of Mount Hood. Let's take you over here to Tom, Dick, and Harry. Tom, Dick, and Harry is a PNSN seismogram, Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. I'm going to enlarge this so you can see what we're showing you here. Look at this. This is the HHN channel here at Mount Hood. Okay? Look at the VLF waves hitting here. VLF waves are caused by magma coming into the magma chamber. Look what's going on. There is a very active bunch of magma coming through this volcano, isn't there? It's moving. It's moving great guns. Mount Hood is moving regardless of what they say about it. They're hiding information. They're hiding the information. Okay? It's incredible. hiding information. Again. Folks, I'm going to take you and show you one more seismogram. This seismogram comes from Sisters Volcano. Sisters Volcano is south of Mount Hood by probably 200 miles. Sisters Volcano is very active. Look what we're showing you here. Right after midnight, you're seeing a little bit of zigzag pattern here. That is artifact. The zigzag pattern has nothing to do with how this earthquake is. What's happening at this volcano. We see tremors all over this. You can see tremors and pick out the tremors here that were happening at the beginning of the night last night. Okay? Then look at this. This is what I really wanted to show you here. This tells a story here. Okay? This occurred just before 2 p.m. The magma had started to enter this volcano, Sisters Volcano, just before 2 p.m. over on the right hand side. Then you see 2 p.m., you see 2:15, and you see 2:30, and the start of 2:45. This this light blue line here is quite prolific, telling us that there's a lot of magma coming in here. The thicker lines show us magma incoming into the volcano. Okay? We don't see too many vertical lines through here. There are a few, but not that many as I would have thought would happen here. The more magma coming into the volcano, the more earthquakes and tremors that are going to happen here. Okay? This afternoon, look at this. Look at all these tremors here. Sisters Volcano is cooking. Sisters Volcano is cooking. That is a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. Okay? I wanted to show you this. It's important. Okay? Lately, we have not seen this kind of magma behavior before, where it completely obliterates the white on the paper. That's what happened here. All that magma coming into the volcano, obliterating the white of the paper. That tells a story. Now, originally I had put seismograms here for from Crater Lake, Mount Lassen, and Mount Shasta. I'm going to tell you right now, Crater Lake is moving. There's a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber at Crater Lake. Crater Lake is down in the south central area of Oregon. Shasta and Lassen are up in Northern California. There's some magma coming into both of those volcanoes, but it's not as much as we see at these other volcanoes in Oregon or Washington. Okay? A lot of magma coming into these volcanoes. Everyone needs to be concerned. Shasta and Lassen are also showing enough activity for everybody to be concerned about a possible eruption. We have quite a few volcanoes in that predicament, especially 3, Rainier, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Hood, and even Sisters to a certain point. We need to be concerned, very concerned. especially when we see lines like this, completely obliterating the white of the paper. You need to be very concerned. Does anybody have any questions for me? Sheila says the strange thing that happened near Space Force headquarters in Huntsville, Alabama. Don Patoka, or Maud, my friend, says, Sheila, then you know about Greg Ellison. You'd almost have to. Folks, maybe tomorrow we'll go into what is going on at Space Force Huntsville, Alabama. What's happening? What's happening? Now, since April this year, and it's been going on for several years, the Border Patrol, Customs Border Protection have not been able to do their job correctly. It's not their fault. The President of the United States, Joseph Biden, had opened the southern border to whoever wants to come in, literally. The southern border is a dangerous border. I'm just going to tell you. I have seen videos since yesterday of large groups of aliens coming through the border completely armed to the hilt, carrying weapons into this country. These are called gotaways. Gotaways. How do we know about it? Because there are surveillance cameras all up and down the entire border area fence that President Trump built. These aliens are getting through the fence. Joe Biden, a while back, I believe it was last year, opened a gate in the fence. He had some people with a blowtorch and cut a hole in the fence. And that gate was not taken away. It was welded to an open position. The gate was welded to an open position on the fence line. And people are coming through there. They're also coming through areas where there's no border fence that President Trump was trying to build when he was rudely ejected from the presidency. Why am I saying that? Because that's exactly what happened. Kimberly Hopkins just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Kim. We appreciate that. God bless you for that. We appreciate that so much. Border Patrol can't stop everybody. They've tried. During this year, the Border Patrol and Customs Border Protection have stopped 5.5 million illegal aliens coming into the United States. They haven't stopped anything, though. They had to catch and release 5.5 million undocumented aliens that they let enter the country because they're being told by Mayorkas, who is the Homeland Security person, Homeland Security Secretary. He's forced their issue. Rob52, my dear friend, Armand, just gave us another $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that, Rob. I love and appreciate everything you do to help us here on the channel. Thank you so much for your help. But 5.5 million illegal aliens have been caught and released. 1.3 million known gotaways. 1.3 million known gotaways. And the numbers we're getting from Homeland Security and Border Protection, and yes, I'm getting this firsthand from my friends down at the border. 1.3 million gotaways, and honestly, I'm being told that those gotaways are probably 20% or higher than that, maybe 25% higher than that. So total, we're having 7 million illegal aliens coming into our country. Like I said yesterday, I saw surveillance video where they were carrying weapons into the country. Incredible. There has been an 870% increase in border protection apprehensions. Border protection apprehensions at the border, coming through the border. In one such case, the aliens cut the fence. The aliens from the Mexican side cut the fence. American mothers and infants 2 years ago had to suffer with no Enfamil, no baby formula. What happened? Joe Biden took the baby formula off the shelves and told the factories that were making the Enfamil to send that Enfamil baby formula to the border. U.S. citizens here, me, all of you, being told that the baby formula manufacturers had been told by the Food and Drug Administration that their facilities were not that clean, and so they had to shut them down and clean them and then reopen them. That's not the case at all. That's absolutely not the case at all. Biden and his Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas orchestrated that Enfamil to be shipped to the border, to hand over to new mothers and infants coming in from Mexico. That is the real story of what happened. We had a serious shortage of baby formula. That's what happened. Okay? Hospitals. Maternity wards of hospitals in Arizona and Texas have been completely overwhelmed with new births from mothers carrying babies into the United States. Not U.S. citizens, but aliens coming into the border areas pregnant and about to deliver babies. Okay? This is not just happening in the United States. It's happening in all sanctuary cities throughout the world. As thousands of migrant children are forced by the drug cartels to come into the United States and work as slaves, slave labor here in the U.S., and the females have been turned over to do work of another sort, if you know what I mean. Young girls are being turned over and forced to do things that they would normally not do as children or young adults. So far this year, Customs Border Protection has found 1,000 dead migrants in the border region in the deserts of Texas and Arizona. 1,000 dead migrants because they couldn't go through the heat of the desert of the southern United States. 300 plus Americans die every month of fentanyl poisoning. 300 Americans per day die from fentanyl poisoning, from fentanyl being trafficked through the drug cartels from China. 300 dead Americans every day, poisoned by fentanyl coming from China through the drug cartels. We see in the surveillance video film showing these migrants carrying drugs in their backpacks. Now, Mayorkas would say, and I saw him do this to the Congress of the U.S., well, you don't know what's in the backpacks. Oh, yes, we do. Border Protection has stopped fentanyl from coming in the U.S., but not all of it. Remember me telling you about all those gotaways? 1.5 million plus gotaways coming in, carrying backpacks and weapons. It's happening. It's happening. They're poisoning our citizens. Right now, there's enough fentanyl coming into the United States to kill every man, woman, and child throughout this country. That's how bad that is. Okay? The fentanyl that's coming in is 50 times more dangerous than heroin and morphine. And they're making rainbow-colored fentanyl tablets that look like Skittles that they're feeding our children, killing off our children. Fact. I might get taken off the air by saying that, but I had to say that tonight. You and I deserve better. You and I, as citizens of this country, deserve better. Folks, it's all of us that have had to put up with this. It's not getting any better, it's getting worse. Every day it gets worse. Does anybody have any questions of me? I've rattled on here for almost 2 hours now. I wanted to share this information with you because I thought it was important. All of us need to be prepared. All of us, each and every one of us, need to be prepared. What is going on? We're being taken over. Those people, those illegal aliens coming into our country are here for a reason. They're armed to the teeth. They're here to take over the government. Not nice either. They're coming in here. It's not going to be good at all. Okay? Make sure you're prayed up. Make sure you're prepared. Tomorrow is Friday. Preparedness Friday. Yes, I'm going to talk some about New Madrid. I'm going to talk about Iceland. I'm also going to talk about Southern California, but specifically about preparedness. We have a great huge storm system coming in off the Pacific, dumping rain and snow in California from south to north, and dumping snow and heavy rain around the Seattle area as well. You need to be prepared? Yes. All that weather is also moving east into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, and into New Mexico as well. The rain is going to come into Arizona and into Texas. It's only going to get worse. Folks, we've been studying the scriptures for a very long time now on this channel on Sundays. We're going to continue that this Sunday, going into the end of Revelations from Revelations chapter 16 through 22. So please join us this Sunday. But this Sunday is also New Year's Eve. Why am I talking about it? What do we usually want to be doing for New Year's Eve? Checking out where we came from earlier this year. What have we done? What have we accomplished? What things do we want to accomplish this coming year? In our scripture study, a new year is a perfect opportunity to rededicate ourselves as disciples of Jesus Christ. However, we can be easily overwhelmed with resolutions and goals that don't stick. It can also be hard to set inspired goals that will truly bring us closer to the Savior. Since we're studying the scriptures in our Come Follow Me broadcasts on Sundays, I'm trying to offer up some ideas that each of us could use during our own scripture study to set New Year's goals, specifically looking at scriptures. I want to share a scripture with you right now. It says, "And now I would that ye be humble, and be submissive, and gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of patience and long-suffering, being temperate in all things, being diligent in keeping the commandments of God at all times, asking for whatsoever things ye stand in need of, both spiritually and temporally." Spiritually and temporally. The Lord wants us also to be successful and have the things that we need to survive here on this earth, our temporal salvation. Always returning thanks to God for whatever things that we do receive. Now, I'm going to try to break these attributes down of the Savior, and I came up with some pretty practical goals and ideas. Do any of these resonate with you? Humility, becoming more humble, our willingness to submit to the will of the Lord. It is willingness to give Him the honor for what is accomplished. It's ourselves being more teachable. Humility, willingness to submit to the will of the Lord, willingness to give Him the honor for what we get accomplished, and also for us being teachable. 4 things right there. Maybe we can set some goals here. Here are some goals that I picked out for being more humble. At a regular interval, to be more introspective, of having an examination with the Lord about my strengths and weaknesses. Pray to the Lord for guidance to what you can do to be more improving on yourself and what you need to do to improve with the Savior in mind. What is most needful for you to change your life? Ask for more feedback and input in your callings within your church and service. Ask for feedback how to be a better servant to the Lord. For when we are in the service of our fellow beings, we're only in the service of our God. Practice active listening. Practice active listening in our conversations with other people, especially those you minister to. Practice active listening, especially with those that we minister to. Those people we teach, those people that we look after, those people that are good friends and families to us. Making sure we can minister to them correctly through active listening. Not just to them, but to the Lord. Active listening. Let's be more submissive and gentle as well. Paul and Peter both talked about being submissive and gentle. Both of them. When we hear the words submissive and gentle, we may correlate them with the lack of boundaries, not voicing our opinions or allowing people to take advantage of us. In the gospel context, being submissive and gentle is much different. It denotes a willingness to be changed and offering up grace to those striving to do the same. When was the last time we offered up grace to someone else who is struggling in their own walk with the Lord? Let's help them. Let's put our arms around them and help them in their journey with the Lord. All this is often correlated with Christ's admonition to become as little children, being submissive and gentle as a little child. Here are some goals that I have come up with to become more submissive and gentle. Start and end each day with prayer, that the will of the Lord will be done in our lives, that we can become more instruments in our Savior's hands. Visualize a situation, a dream, or a hardship that you want to give to God. Place it on His altar. Surrender it to Him. Get it off our backs and turn it over to the Lord. Didn't the Lord teach us in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to let His yoke be lighter with us? Ask your ministering friends at least once a month how you can help them accomplish their spiritual goals. Be supportive to everyone as each of us try and strive to help others. That's exactly where we want to be. We want to be supportive of each other and also supportive to those who are on their own journey with Christ. Be supportive with everyone. When someone entreats us, they are earnestly asking us to do something when we are easily entreated. It means that we willingly listen to the Lord and follow His counsel. We seek the Lord and are interested in what He says. Active listening when we pray. Don't just get up off your knees. Stay there for a while and listen to what the Lord reveals to you. Personal revelation. Try some of these goals yourself and see how you can more easily be entreated and help others. Each night, and I've mentioned this sometimes in my Sunday school classes, keep a journal. Write down any spiritual promptings that you may receive each and every day. Ponder on if and how you acted on those promptings and what you'd like to do better the next day. Write those things down I believe if we do this and write these things down and ponder it, it's going to give us more energy. It's going to give us more willingness to listen to the Savior and do His will. Let's think about this. Let's ponder and pray. Also, create a 10-minute period each day where you will disconnect from the world and spend time pondering with God. Set a timer. Wait for 5 minutes on your knees after finishing your prayers. Wait at least 5 minutes. Push through any uncomfortable silence and pay attention to the thoughts that come to your mind from praying. Think about that. The Lord wants us to be blessed. He wants us to also have patience and long suffering. He wants to bless us, brothers and sisters. Catherine Sigerson up in Canada says she wrote those things down and put them on the fridge. And she says the goals came true. That's good enough for me, because I've done it and I've seen the same thing happen. Let's do it, brothers and sisters. Let's make this new year something very positive for all of us. Patience is the capacity to trust God as you face delay, opposition, and even suffering. Through our faith, we trust God's timing for His promised blessings to be fulfilled. Patience may be considered one of the hardest and most necessary and useful virtues to try and develop. It has been for me. Here are some goals to help each one of us, including me, develop better patience. Write a list of times when God has led you through a trial or surprised you with what He has provided. Refer to this list when you feel fearful or overwhelmed. We live in a society that is about instant gratification. I've been taught this since I was a child. Instant gratification. Invite small habits and hobbies into your life. Mine has been model railroading. Those hobbies represent waiting, such as growing plants, wood carving, model railroad, or baking, whatever your hobbies are. Write down the things you are grateful for each day. Ponder how God has touched your life, no matter how small it might seem. Then, something equally important, I believe it anyway. Temperance means seeking moderation and balance. Temperance. Temperance. In our modern world, it's easy to go to extremes in many aspects of our lives. We can consume too much or too little. Whether it is food, technology, or other worldly desires. We can be extreme in our opinions, can't we? Me. This can invite hard-heartedness, pride, and contention. We can be extreme in our judgment. Temperance is also about mind control, controlling our thoughts and our feelings. These goals that I have mentioned to you tonight are goals to help each one of us, to help me and to help you, to be more godly, to recognize when the Lord wants to bless us and give us information. Have any of us, I'm asking this of me as well, okay? I started reading and writing things down earlier today. Do I consume more technology to an extreme? Make goals to unplug. Make goals to unplug. List the hours that you are on streaming sites. Don't have your phone in your hand when you're talking to someone. Figure out how technology may be negatively impacting your life and set a goal for it. Why did I say not to have a phone in your hand? When you're talking to someone, give them all of your attention. Don't just be on your phone and be doing other things at the same time. We live in very tumultuous times. I've talked about it. Strive to be respectful of others and avoid contention, even as opinions and beliefs get in the way. Make a goal to reach out a hand of friendship to someone else in your life, someone who may be different than you. Be diligent in keeping the commandments of God. This one thing will bless your life immeasurably. Be diligent in seeking out and following the commandments of God. When we're diligent in keeping the commandments, we are steady, we are consistent, we're energetic, and we covenant to walk with the Lord, don't we? We know we won't be perfect in keeping the commandments, but we can do our best and use our free agency to make powerful, good decisions. Use our free agency to make powerful, good decisions. Pick an area of practical discipleship that you would like to improve on, such as reading your scriptures, visiting someone else that might need you, an elderly person, a fellow brother or sister that might need our help. Reach out to them in your mind. Think who you might approach. Focus on being consistent in this area for a set period of time. It might be a week, it might be a month, it might be less, but be consistent. Repent daily by asking for forgiveness. Forgiveness in prayer and reviewing each and every day with the Lord. Reviewing every day will bring us closer to the Lord, and He will bless us. Then ask for things that we need. The Lord wants to bless us. Yes, He knows the desires of our heart, but He wants us to express those desires. Reach out to Him. Tell Him how thankful you are for what you have. And if you need something, ask for it. I've learned one thing over the years. Asking for help from the Lord has been hard for me. Asking help from anybody has been hard for me. But the fact of the matter is, if we ask diligently, nothing wavering, be diligent and be forthright with the Lord, and He will do the same with us. Asking for what we need is important. Set reminders on your phone to have be still type of moments, to contemplate time with God. Take these moments throughout the day to talk with God about how your day is going and how you're feeling. The Lord will bless us. Keep a prayer in your heart. You might even keep a prayer journal. Keep a prayer journal. Keep a prayer journal every night. Write in it. about what you need and what you're grateful for. Use this as a reference in your prayers. Record your thoughts and your feelings as you pray and ponder your communication with God. If family prayer is daunting, this is a good one. I strive to have family prayer with my wife and kids, and now it's just the two of us. Family prayer is daunting. Try eliminating the clutter and the distractions. Pick a time in the evening when everyone is there, a space that is clean and quiet, and have everyone put their electronics in one place until after the prayer is over. If family members are far or traveling, use video conferencing on the telephone to include them with your family prayer. Brothers and sisters, I've found great feeling in doing this. The Lord has blessed me greatly, and now I'm sharing this information with you. Linda Covington has said something in chat along with this. It's very important. Expect positive results. Expect positive results, and you'll get positive results. Always, always returning thanks unto God. We can show our love for our Heavenly Father by remembering His hand in our lives and expressing gratitude for what He gives us. The word always comes up in the scriptures a lot, doesn't it? Always may feel overwhelming. How can we cultivate an attitude of gratitude? Write the goals down. Let's talk about this even on Sunday after we get through with the main part of our lesson. I bear you my testimony. I know it's true. I've been doing this for some time. I've been thinking about how I would approach each of you with this very topic, and now I've done it. I hope each of us can grow and grow together. We can do it. We can do it. Remember, Jesus Christ is our friend and our brother. Let's make Him the most important part of our coming year. I've certainly tried to do that this year. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I love you as I love the Lord. May God bless us and keep us close to Him. That way He will always be with us. God be with each one of you, each one of my family here on the Emergency Management Associates Network. May God be with you and bless you every day. God be with you until we meet again. I say that every night, but I mean it. It's one of my favorite hymns. I learned that hymn a long time ago, and it still is. Brothers and sisters, may God be with us until we meet again. We will see you around the corner. Same time tomorrow night, just after 6 p.m. God bless us. God be with you till we meet again. Good night, everybody. Much love.